I'm pretty sure God doesn't think about sunrises or sunsets like we do. He has no reason, no need to think about them like we do. I took a photo of a sunset a few years ago. I had to get myself in just the right position at just the right time of day and make sure I had my camera and tripod set up just right so I could capture the shot at just the right moment. Every time I look at that photo, it makes me think of just how insignificant I am compared to God, and reminds me that God must surely not even think about sunsets or sunrises like we do. This is the photo I'm referencing. It was taken from the top of Cadillac Mountain in Acadia National Park on the coast of Maine. I remember getting there in plenty of time to get my tripod and camera set up just right, double check my camera settings, and then patiently wait for just the right moment as the sun sank behind the horizon. And I remember those three people that came and just stood right in front of my camera just as the sun started dipping below the horizon. Seriously? It's not like I just had my phone out to snap a couple of quick shots. I had a large tripod with a big camera on top of it. Were they blind or just rude? I asked them if they minded moving a few feet to one side or the other so they didn't block my view. They told me that I didn't own the mountain. I told them I was well aware of that, but would still appreciate it if they could move to one side or the other and, and not stand right in front of my camera. They mumbled under their breath and glared at me as they walked off. Just in time, I was able to get the shot I was hoping for. It's not the world's greatest sunset photo by any stretch of the imagination, but it is a photo that I personally took, a photo I planned for, made the arrangements to arrive on time, scope out a location with some trees in the foreground to give it dimension. So I have some fondness for the photo. I was leaving the next day. I had to get the photo with the one opportunity I had. I would maybe never get a second chance. It only takes a couple minutes for the sun to drop below the horizon. You get it at that moment or you've missed it forever. And so it goes with us humans. One sunrise and one sunset each day. Have to be at the right place at the right time or you completely miss it. But not so with God. Have you ever realized that for God there is always a sunrise and always a sunset? He never misses a single one. As a matter of fact, they never go away. For God there is a sunrise 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. And the same with sunsets, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. We see them at a moment in time if we happen to be at the right place at the right time. But God sees them continually. For God, they literally never stop. Do you have a memory of a beautiful sunrise or sunset that you've seen? Maybe when you were on vacation, watching the sunset at some beautiful location you'd traveled to. I had a boss at one point that just didn't need much sleep. He was fine on 5 or 6 hours of sleep each night. I can't count the number of times he asked me, "Hey, did you see that sunrise this morning? It was particularly beautiful today." I would say, as usual, "No, I didn't see the sunrise today." Then he would reply with something like, "Oh, that's too bad. You missed a real beauty today." I don't know if he realized that most people don't see the sunrise every day. Most people get up after the sun has already come up. He probably saw more sunrises than anyone I've ever known. But with all those sunrises that he's seen, I know for a fact that there were a few that just stuck in his mind. The rays of light coming through the clouds or the orange glow on the horizon when the conditions were just right. He could describe them just as if he had seen them that morning. But it may have been months or even years since he actually observed that particular sunrise. The beauty that God placed in this world that he created is astounding. We get a glimpse from time to time of some special scenes. Maybe it's a sunrise. Maybe it's a sunset. Maybe it's a brilliant rainbow after a storm. Maybe it's the hillsides covered in yellow, orange, and red leaves in the fall of the year. Maybe it's a majestic waterfall that you just can't stop watching and listening to. Maybe it's sand dunes that you see as far as the eye can see. Maybe it's the countless stars in the sky on a cloudless night. You know, for every one of these things, we have to be, we have to be in the right place at the right time. And when we are, we get that glimpse into the power, the creativity, the majesty, the glory of God. And that glimpse into God should remind everyone of how wonderful God is. That momentary glimpse of God's glory should cause us to bow in reverence, in worship to His greatness. The Apostle Paul says it so clearly in his letter to his fellow saints in Rome. He tells them very early on in that letter that he wrote to them, "For what can be known about God is plain to them because God has shown it to them. For His invisible attributes, namely His eternal power and divine nature, have been clearly perceived ever since the creation of the world in the things He has made." What is Paul saying here? He's saying, look at the world around you. Look at the amazing creation that surrounds you every day. It's only there because of God's power and divine nature. And then, when you stop to think about it, God gets to enjoy it continuously. He doesn't have to be in the right place at the right time. He's not limited by space and time like we are. So as I speak, no matter when you're watching this video, God sees the sunrise in that part of the world right now. And He also sees the sunset that's occurring in that part of the world right now as I speak, as you watch the video. At this very second, God sees both the sunrise and the sunset. Next time you see a sunrise or sunset, I hope you'll remember that God doesn't have to be in the right place at the right time to see that sunrise or sunset. For God, the sunrise never ends. For God, the sunset never ends. For God, there's always a sunrise and a sunset happening at the very same time, all the time. Oh, what a mighty God we serve. I hope in some small way I've encouraged you today by reminding you just how wonderful God is. The God that created all this majestic universe around us is the same God that loves us so much that He sent His Son to earth to give the ultimate sacrifice for us. I want to encourage you to routinely take a little time in your day to contemplate the greatness of God and spend a few seconds worshiping Him. Sunrise or sunset, the choice that God never has to make. Thanks for listening. God bless you on your journey.